Hi, I am Jonathan Rosenfeld, and today I am joined by attorney Deborah Goff. We are going to be talking about New York nursing home laws and regulations. Deb, thank you so much for joining me today. I appreciate it.
Thank you so much for the invitation.
Now, Deb, in New York, when it comes to nursing home cases, what are some of the main types of cases that you see? When someone contacts you, what are those complaints typically comprised of?
Well, we usually get calls from families whose loved ones have developed bed sores or pressure ulcers, have fallen and sustained fractures of the hip or maybe even their neck or their back, or they've fallen and sustained a traumatic brain injury. They sometimes call us related to sexual abuse cases, physical abuse, weight loss, contractures. Sometimes the medications have been mismanaged and they've developed strokes or diabetic issues. Um, those are the common types of calls we get.
Now, in New York, like other states, there's different agencies that regulate these facilities, and there's a whole body of law that is in place to protect residents. Um, can you talk a little bit about uh, the regulations and the agencies out there in New York?
Sure. So in New York, there is a whole host of bodies of law to cover nursing homes and regulating them under the public health law. And those laws are enforced by the Department of Health, who come in either annually or when a complaint is made, generally by a loved one, to see and check to make sure that the nursing home is complying with the regulations and that they aren't falling outside the standard of care.
If a family has a loved one who's at a New York nursing home and they either there's an acute event or they suspect that there's been some type of maltreatment, what can a family do to sort of get some answers in terms of finding out what it may have happened? A lot of times, I know facilities. A lot of times they'll give families sort of a runaround. Oh, this they just slipped. They just this was a isolated incident. But if a family's got concerns, what can a family do in terms of getting that situation investigated?
Well, the family can certainly call the Department of Health, but I'm not sure that's going to get them the answers they're looking for. The Department of Health will investigate. Truly, to get to the bottom of what happened, I would strongly recommend that the family contact a nursing home attorney. Nursing home attorneys know what to look for. They know what to look for in the medical records. They know what documents to seek, what policies, what investigation reports to look at. And they're the ones that know how to piece together, hopefully, what happened and uncover probably what the facility would like to cover as to what caused that loved one's injuries.
Now, every state has time restrictions or statute of limitations in place, basically, which creates a window for an injured party to bring a case, to bring a lawsuit. What is the statute of limitations for New York nursing home negligence and wrongful death cases?
So in New York, there's really a few timetables. The safest way is to bring your claim within 2 years because that's what the wrongful death statute of limitations is. But if you wanted to become for medical malpractice, the statute of limitations is 2.5 years. And then also the nursing home regulations allow for what we call private cause of action, where they can sue for certain violations of residents' rights, and those can be brought within 3 years. But we strongly recommend, based on the way that the courts sort of see all this, whether they're calling it medical malpractice, whether they're believing this is actually a resident's rights claims, it's all very legally nuanced. We recommend the claim be brought within 2 years.
Certainly, obviously they should reach out to an attorney, as soon as they think they may have a case, because a lot of times these situations take some time to investigate.
Yes, indeed. In fact, a lot of times families don't know exactly when the wrongful act took place, and that's really the date within which the statute of limitations starts to run. So you may have one single event, you may have multiple events with different dates that the statute's running from. So as soon as a family member or a loved one believes that there's been some form of negligence in the facility of the resident, they should contact an attorney immediately, in my opinion.
That's great advice. Now, in these situations, ultimately, we're talking about civil cases here. Civil cases are about recovering compensation in the form of monetary compensation for uh, the injuries or for the loss. Can you talk a little bit about the types of damages that are available in New York nursing home negligence cases?
Sure. So in New York, there's multiple ways to recover. The first is what's called compensatory damages, and those damages are really meant to compensate a resident for the injuries they sustained when they were in the nursing home. And it's important to note that even if your loved one passes away either before the lawsuit or during the lawsuit, those compensatory damages remain viable and you're still able to pursue them. What happened in their pain and suffering still matters, even if they're no longer with us. You can also obtain wrongful death damages. Those are really meant to compensate loved ones who were still receiving some form of guidance and support from their loved ones that passed away as a result of the negligence. And then there's punitive damages. Those are really reserved for cases where the facility has acted particularly recklessly and the jury is awarding them in a way to sort of punish the facility for what happened and to try to make sure it doesn't happen again. There's one other type of compensation that the New York Nursing Home Act, or what we call the public health law, allows for. It's a legally, again, a legally nuanced formula, but you may obtain a certain amount of money based on that public health law if you're able to show violations of residents' rights.
Um, this was great information. Obviously, there's a lot of nuance here and there's a lot of legalese. If someone has a situation where they're concerned about the care of their family member, I think certainly talking to an experienced nursing home negligence attorney such as yourself would be helpful just in terms of getting information, if for no other reason, hearing how the law applies to their situation is really important. So Deb, thank you so much for joining me today. I appreciate it. This was great information.
Thank you so much for the invitation.